Michael Cohen is changing lawyers, and Rupert Murdoch is trying to get President Trump to change lawyers or to at least get rid of Rudy Giuliani. Rupert Murdoch obviously sees Rudy Giuliani as not helping to protect Rupert Murdoch's investment in the White House. And so Rupert Murdoch's New York Post today ran a two-page spread about Rudy Giuliani's most recent escapade of marital infidelity as described by Rudy Giuliani's most recent wife. Rupert Murdoch's New York Post included surveillance pictures of Rudy Giuliani's new alleged mistress. But if Rupert Murdoch really wants to protect his investment in the White House, he might have to consider paying for Michael Cohen's new lawyers, because Michael Cohen clearly cannot afford to be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a week to defend himself in a federal investigation in New York City and continue his civil case against Stormy Daniels to try to enforce the non-disclosure agreement that he wrote that was designed to prevent Stormy Daniels from telling her story about having sex with Donald Trump, the story which she told. But Michael Cohen, of course, forgot to get his client, Donald Trump, to sign that agreement. And so Stormy Daniels' new lawyer, Michael Avenatti, is fighting Michael Cohen and Donald Trump in court in California. But tonight, Michael Avenatti is here in New York, and Michael Avenatti joins our discussion now. You did a calculation about how much this case is costing Michael Cohen in New York City that you put out today. You estimated it could be $500,000 a week.
Correct. 15
lawyers, some of them getting over $1,500 an hour. Some of them a low would be $700 an hour.
Correct. And under New York rates, I mean, I think you're looking at 15 lawyers at about 50 hours a week, and you do the math, and it's, on average, a hybrid rate of $700, $750 an hour, and that's before you factor in Mr. Ryan, who's probably billing at about $1,200 an hour. I mean, the burn rate, Lawrence, here is significant. It's probably about $500,000 a week. And look, this is no different than many other criminal white-collar prosecutions. You have a defendant that starts off defiant, like Mr. Cohen, who talks about he's willing to take a bullet for his co-conspirator. And all of a sudden, the burn rate sets in, and you realize you're burning through your cash, and you're never going to get that money back. That money is going to be gone forever, and you're put on an island by your co-conspirators, which is what has happened to him with this president, with Mr. Trump. They put this guy on an island, which is beyond stupid. Okay, this is a president that demands and values loyalty but provides none, and we've seen that time and time again. And in this case, it's going to ultimately cost him, because they're basically putting this guy on an island, not to mix metaphors, but when the music stops, he's not going to be left with a chair. And this is a very, very dangerous situation for the president. I mean, I said this 9 weeks ago, over 2 months ago. I said that Mr. Cohen was very, very dangerous to this president. I said he was going to be indicted. I said he was going to flip on the president, and that he posed a bigger threat than the Mueller investigation.
Why wouldn't the president be helping him out financially with these legal fees?
Because he's not smart, Lawrence. I mean, why would the president, of all the attorneys in the world, all the attorneys in the United States, why would the president hire a guy like Rudy Giuliani, dazed and confused Rudy, to go out on the airways and spew the nonsense and the sexist comments that he has? I mean, this guy is a walking disaster. I mean, every day he speaks, our case gets better, and people get more and more outraged.
Well, yeah, Rudy hasn't been speaking lately, I think, for obvious reasons. Let's listen to Emily Jane Fox in the last hour with Rachel Maddow. As we know, Emily Jane Fox has direct contact with Michael Cohen. She has the best source about Michael Cohen, which is Michael Cohen. Let's listen to what she told Rachel about how Michael Cohen is feeling.
The president has done nothing in order to make Michael Cohen feel like he has Michael Cohen's back, and that has been a problem. You forget that the president went on Fox News and basically said, I barely know the guy. He's like a coffee boy. He did a very, very small percentage of my legal work. Right. And then his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, has gone on television repeatedly making this harder for Michael Cohen. And the reaction from Michael Cohen, from everything I know from my reporting, has been, these guys don't have my back. Now a man who is frustrated, isolated, feeling alone, and feeling very, very angry at the Trump family in general and at the president.
Angry at the Trump family in general and the president, and he has information about the Trump family and the president.
Well, Lawrence, I think what's going to happen is, look, nothing lasts forever, okay? I know a lot of people think that things last forever. They don't last forever. And so what's going to happen here is the narcissism of this president his arrogance, his stupidity is ultimately going to catch up to him because he's not providing air cover for the guy that knows where all the bodies are buried. I've been saying this for a while. I mean, this is the guy that handled all of the nonsense for the president for the better part of 12 years, okay? If there's one guy on the face of the planet that you provide air cover for, that you provide legal fees for, that you bring in the tent, that you make him feel loved and welcomed, it's this guy, okay? But that's not what we've seen. In fact, we've seen just the opposite. And this arrogance and this narcissism is very, very dangerous, okay? This is the guy that knows where the bodies are buried, and I believe that he's going to sing like a canary because he's not going to have any choice but to try to save his family and the people that he cares about, and he's going to be out of money.
Let's listen to this very powerful one-word answer that Emily Jane Fox gave to Rachel's question that laid it all out. Let's listen to this.
If Mr. Cohen, either based on those feelings or any of these other dynamics we've been talking about, if he does decide that he's going to cooperate with prosecutors and tell them everything he knows about his interactions with President Trump over the years, is that a potential serious risk for the president in terms of the president's own legal liability?
Yes.
That's got to be the scariest moment that Donald Trump has had on TV this year.
Well, I mean, Lawrence, again, I've been saying this for 2.5 months. I mean, I predicted this, and people say to me, well, how did you know? How could you have predicted this? How did you know? I mean, this really isn't that difficult if you have some experience in this game and you've seen other cases. This case, even though it involves some rather large, important figures in public life, is no different than many other white-collar prosecutions. But what is astounding to me is that we're talking about the President of the United States who promised the American people he was going to surround himself with the best and the brightest, and this guy has surrounded himself year in and year out with morons, people that are completely incompetent and certainly not up to the task at hand, and it's going to come back and it's going to bite him in a very big way.
Part of Emily Jane Fox reporting today is that today, Michael Cohen was engaged with his California lawyers who are fighting you and Stormy Daniels over that civil case. Why doesn't Michael Cohen just drop that case?
Well, at this point, Lawrence, because we put him in a box, he doesn't have the ability to drop that case. That ship sailed many, many weeks ago, and it was a trap, a tripwire that we laid, and he fell right into it, as he's done time and time again in connection with these cases. I have to tell you, people ask me, Lawrence, over the last 3 or 4 months, what has surprised you the most in connection with what has happened? And the answer is very, very clear, and that is the incompetence of these lawyers, the incompetence of Michael Cohen, and the fact that they keep falling into every trap that we lay. And again, ultimately, this is going to prove to be a very, very big problem for this president.
It sounds, by the way, like Donald Trump has been listening to you, because Maggie Haberman, New York Times, tweeted earlier today and has a story about this tonight saying, Trump has been fuming about Cohen in private, blaming him for the messy Stormy Daniels situation, but he also is fearful of making that public because of chances it further pushes Cohen toward the Southern District of New York. So Donald Trump, according to that, agrees with you about how messy the Stormy Daniels situation is because of Michael Cohen.
Well, Lawrence, here's the bottom line. All the king's horses and all the king's men can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And it doesn't matter how concerned he is or how much he fumes or how much he yells and screams in the White House. He is too far down the path. This is not going to end well for this president. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much for joining us again tonight. I appreciate it. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.